The notice requirements of this Open Public Meetings Act for this meeting have been satisfied. A copy of the annual meeting notice was sent to the press. Down Beach Current, posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building, on the municipal website, and filed in the office of the municipal clerk. Would you please stand for the flag salute? Attention salute. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would you call the roll, please?
Mayor Becker?
Here.
Commissioner Amadeo?
Here.
Commissioner Blumberg?
We have before us the minutes of 3 dates, July 16th, 23rd, and 30th. What is your pleasure?
I'll move those minutes.
Second. Will you call the roll, please?
Mayor Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Amadeo?
Yes.
Commissioner Blumberg?
Is there any public comment? You have 3 minutes. This portion, you can speak about any subject.
Mike Goldenberg, 7 North Haverford. I'm not going to go into what we spoke about last time. You all saw the property, you know where the problems are. In the 3 weeks since I've been here, the problems have manifested. The property you saw 3 weeks ago has more lights, more statues. The street has become a center of attention, a tourist attraction. On Friday, Saturday, and Sunday nights, you cannot go down North Haverford. The traffic is now backed up to the corner. People stop their cars. Some try to get out. People honk their horns. We cannot get out of our driveways. It's become really very problematic. The visitors to Jack's house that want to see it all lit up are not all Margate residents. I don't know where they come from, but we have more people walking by than on the boardwalk at night, and they're visiting Lucy. It has become a real problem. Mr. Abbott, I listened to everything you said last week. I appreciate your suggestions. My daughter's an attorney. She'd like a couple of minutes to talk to you, please.
Thank you, Robin Goldenberg. Just to kind of follow up on that, what's happening on the street is cars are driving by and stopping dead in the middle of the road. So it's not, it's an actual physical hazard now, in addition to the fact that people are coming drunk on the street, looking at the lights, commenting. It's not a pretty attraction for the city of Margate, okay? It's become a laughingstock attraction. I have tried to look at some of the individual cause of actions without an ordinance from the city restricting lighting or incorporating lighting as a nuisance. A private cause of action is not only cost prohibitive, but also very challenging. I looked at Ocean City. They have lighting ordinances that deal with how far your lights can portray onto other people's property. The state of New Jersey has light pollution laws, in effect, as well, that may or may not be violated by the lights that are there and the extent of the lights. 2 o'clock in the morning they're on, 4:30 in the morning they're on, and it's causing a public nuisance. And so we implore the city of Margate to step up to take action here, because this is a slippery slope. Even if we were to take a private cause of action, it would not stop anybody else. If we won, you would still have other people. First, it was the house on Jerome with all the blow-ups. Now you have this house in North Haverford with all these bizarre statutes, all these offensive lights with strobe lights, it's like a disco at night there. The next thing you know, it will be another house. Without an ordinance in place that affects everyone, you have a slippery slope, and Margate's going to become a laughingstock where people are coming to look at not the historical Lucy, but the bizarre houses with lights. And I can tell you, they literally walk up and down the street. When I tell people where I live, they go, "Oh my God, you live across from that blue house? It's ridiculous." And Margate doesn't need that kind of reputation. It's a great city, and it should help its constituents. And in order for us to do anything, we really need an implore of the board to put an ordinance. And I'm happy to help you. I will donate my services as an attorney to help you guys. I've looked at a number of neighboring towns that have lighting ordinances and nuisance ordinances that would apply to this so that it can be regulated and restricted. Sure.
Thank you. Scott, did you want to address this?
Look, we realize it's a very serious problem. In fact, I went over there myself several times and looked at it at night. We do not currently have an ordinance that would help your situation. The ordinances that we looked at, and I know that Fred Vernon spent a lot of time, I know I spent a lot of time, I went on the internet, I've looked at Knight, Bright, and all their proposed ordinances, and ordinances from California, Colorado, Illinois was another one. Usually they're 15 or 20 pages long, and they have to have a lighting expert come in. What you're asking the city of Margate to do is, one, enact a very comprehensive ordinance which deals with a very specific type of light. This is not a searchlight, it's not a white light, it's not the light that you have on a ball field, it's a special type of blue light. That's number one, that you want us to find an ordinance that could then retroactively be applied against this individual, and if he is, we'd have to have a certification, we'd have to have an expert come in and say, he's violating the standards of these ordinances, and we, the city, would have to be in a position to go to municipal court and, at a criminal standard, proof beyond a reasonable doubt, prove that your neighbor is violating this newly created ordinance because it's a nuisance to you individually. I suggested to your father, it would be far quicker for you to seek court action, seek an injunction on a nuisance theory, which I think you would prevail, that you and your neighbors go in front of a Superior Court judge and seek an injunction to block him. You are in a far stronger position, and you would not have to have the level of the burden of proof that would be upon the city to, in essence, find him guilty of a crime.
Well, it doesn't have to be a crime. It could be a city
Quasi.
ordinance violation. It's not a
But proof
crime.
beyond a reasonable doubt.
Well, only if it's a crime. If it's not a crime, we don't have to go
Well, you
there.
have to be able to fine him or incarcerate him if he refuses to remove the lights,
We have
right?
to have appropriate penalties.
Right.
But I
I mean, I'll be happy to look at anything you have.
Okay, because, again, I look...
And you want to email it to me or give it to me, that's fine. But really, why aren't you guys going in front of a Superior Court
Well, first
judge?
of all, it's costly for us as a family
Right.
to go in front of a
But you
superior...
expose us, the city, and all of its taxpayers. Do you think this individual is just going to stand there and say, go ahead, take me to court?
Well, you also have it's a better position when a city makes an ordinance and tries to, you're not enforcing against one person, you're
What
enforcing
about the
against...
civil rights action? What about the specifically
He's not
discriminating
going to
against
have
him?
a civil rights action that will stand up in court.
You can guarantee me that this individual will not turn around and try to sue the city and the taxpayers
Well, I can't
because we
guarantee-
enacted an ordinance because your father and you came here and said, we want you to do
I
this
can't
against him?
guarantee you that he won't sue you tomorrow
No, nobody
for
can.
whatever
Nobody
reason
can.
he has.
But my
I can-
point is, it's a lot more reasonable, I think, for you guys, your neighborhood, to go, you could file your action and be in court next week.
And then we could be in the appellate court and the Supreme Court.
As could
And
we.
then he could still, that's right, you absolutely could. We all could be.
So you would
However,
rather have the city go through all
But
that
this
burden
is a
than
city
us?
problem, because it's it's a city, it's on the city property. This is not, we didn't move into that house with that guy having this done. If we win, that helps you guys not at all, because the next person that goes down the street and decides they want to do that, you're in the same spot.
Look,
And if we lose,
I
it
have
makes it
tremendous
even worse
sympathy
for
for you.
you.
As I say, I'll look at anything you have, but my advice at this point in time is that it is a private nuisance matter, and that you and your neighborhood, or whoever, there was one other individual that appeared, should do it tomorrow, go in.
Well, the problem is, under the nuisance law, there are challenges to a private individual bringing it, especially when there's not an ordinance from the town on point. There's most of these cases where people win under private nuisances is because there's also an ordinance from the town.
We would have to hire a lighting expert, an engineer.
I don't know about that. I mean, I can show
you.
you that the Ocean City ordinance for glare and
Have they
lighting
found
is
anybody
one
guilty
page.
of that ordinance?
It's
though?
one page.
Okay.
It's literally it's a one-page ordinance, okay? And again, this is
Can
not
I
saying you
ask-
can't have lights, we're trying to restrict the time period that you
Can I
can.
ask a question? We
Sure.
can come up here for- I've asked your dad the same question. Is there any chance at all of you talking to your neighbor and trying to resolve it, which would be
My
the simplest?
understanding is that that's already been done.
Okay.
He's been
So
talked
that's,
to, and he denies, that his lights have any kind of delay, or, any kind of issue, we can't
John.
see them.
There's no question there's an issue here, a quality of life issue. And the neighbors on Haverford or it's Haverford,
Haverford, yeah.
don't deserve that kind of nuisance. There's no question about it. And I would agree with you 100%. We do have, and we plan on revisiting many ordinances. We do have to, now that we're faced with this specific issue, to really look at the projections of lights and make sure that it doesn't, even if we have to put 10 o'clock, I think your father last
Yeah,
time said,
that's-
if the guy turned
again,
them
we're
on at
just
10 or
trying to-
11 o'clock, we would be fine.
Absolutely.
And I said, I think he's being more than a gentleman even saying that, because if I lived next door, I wouldn't want to see that every minute of the day.
Right.
So honestly, what Scott's saying for immediate relief, just for you guys, I think if there's a step that's taken forward, as we go through the process of visiting ordinances, looking at them, and seeing what's best tapered for Margate that would cover us on the whole, as you suggested, so that other people don't have this problem moving forward, I promise you, that's what we're going to do. We're doing a master plan, which we're going to have a lot of ordinance changes.
Okay.
We are certainly not saying we're not going to do this, because we will. And as John says, we're preparing now to issue a study to propose a new master plan. And we will look at it, but we're trying to find a way to get you immediate relief.
Yeah, unfortunately, in the process of getting immediate relief, it won't be immediate, it could also become worse. And if the action doesn't go in our favor, it would actually be worse for the city of Margate when you want to do your ordinance. So we don't want to create a situation where you are willing, you're going to look at this issue, make it 10 o'clock, whatever the time period is, the lights have to be off, or decorative lights. We don't want to make it worse for the city if they're going to be making an ordinance as well.
And I understand that, and I hope you understand. Maybe we can work together as we
I'd be
go along.
happy to help you guys.
That's
I'm
fine.
volunteering my services to help you in any way we
really
can.
appreciate
We would
that,
like
because
that.
we need help.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
happy to help you. I mean,
We're-
we want to address this as best we can.
Okay.
And
You got it.
again, we totally realize, and it's shutting lights off at 10 o'clock, I don't think solves the problem. Because that kind of issue, no neighbor should face with. It's like we have a property maintenance code. If your house isn't painted and you have broken
Yeah.
windows, they have to be fixed.
It's amazing, there's, what is on, how encompassing a lot of the ordinances, and it's just this one area that is, it's
And I read
missing.
our ordinance, and it did say that the lights had to be, it had to be a fixture. Scott, am I right? It said it had to be a wall
Under our
mount.
site plan approval ordinance, yes. I'll tell you, let me have your ordinance, I'll take a look at it.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Coming out.
Sorry we can't get you immediate relief. I wish we could.
Is there like a time period that when you're planning to readdress some of these ordinances, or is there someone I can be in touch with, or a card?
We've already put a considerable amount of time looking at it. Look at it some more, maybe we'll do it. But I really feel, and again,
I just copied that from the internet, so it was Margaret's ordinance, Ocean City's ordinance.
Okay.
Okay, so take a look, it's online, it may be.
I understand, but we don't have any expert or certification. We don't have the equipment to enforce this.
But if we have a time period, you may not need to do that.
We gotta
So
look at
if
how-
you're-
We'll take a look how we enforce
We
it.
will.
Yeah, there may be a way around that by just limiting the time the lights can go off as well.
Did
That would-
did you know whether that was under the zoning provision or under the nuisance provision?
It was under,
General provisions, which
yeah. it
I
was-
don't know what that would be.
It was under, Article 1400 general provisions, so I can double check.
Because if it's in the zoning, it creates a lot more problem, as you perhaps know. but
Yeah, I don't think
Because
it
you
was
get
under-
some rights.
Yeah, I don't think it was under the zoning, I think it was just under, but I'll double check their nuisance statute for you.
There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
When you look at the lights, please look at the inside lights. They're strobe. They provide very badly at my house. Outside, inside. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Goldberg. Anyone else, public comment?
That's my light.
Strobe lights, neon lights.
After 10:05.
Art Cortilli, 114 North Lancaster Avenue. I know many people are concerned that live in the beach block about beach block parking. And they're concerned because they're afraid, as I understand it, that there might be an emergency of some kind and they'll have difficulty. Well, I started looking at the signs that say no parking 10 to 5. And then I realized that you're allowed to park from 5 all the way through the night into the next day till 10 o'clock in the morning. And if you work out a percentage, they're only saying that 30% of the time you're not allowed to park, but yet 70% of the time you're allowed to park. So if I were a gambling man, I'd say, wait a minute, this sign's messed up. We ought to have the signs the other way, with parking during that time when people really need it, 10 to 5, and no parking the rest of the time. I mean, if I was a gambling man about a fire or whatever, it would seem that I'd go for the 70% of the day rather than the 30%. And lo and behold, here we pass it Sunday, this Sunday that just passed, I guess the 2nd of August. I was shocked. There was a big fire emergency on Nassau Beach Block. Wow. So I walked over from Lancaster, took a look. And would you believe, there were 2 parked cars parked on the left-hand side as you go down towards the beach. And there were 2 ambulances up that street and 2 fire trucks up that street. And I thought, well, this is the exact thing they're talking about. And it did happen during the 70% of the time of the day when you're allowed to park there. And I thought, this is a great example. Let me take a look at what happens. I missed the beginning of it. So I waited around. And when this was all over, here the ambulance that was up front made a U-turn and drove out, right past a fire truck, right between a fire truck and the 2 parked cars. Right out, gone. Second ambulance, the same thing. Now here came to the fire truck. 2 firemen stood on Atlantic Avenue, and they just waved, and the fire truck backed up. The first one backed up and backed up west and headed east on Atlantic Avenue. The second fire truck went all the way across Atlantic Avenue. They just held up the traffic, pulled backward into Nassau with both sides of the street parked up, pulled in, and then turned to the right and went back to the place. So it seems to me there was absolutely, I would say maybe 5 minutes, it was completely gone. So it seems like any emergency of that kind would
15
be
seconds,
certainly
right.
covered. And it's a shame that it happened on the 70% of the day that they really don't have covered. They're allowed to park. It's kind of strange to me. And when you really need it, it's only 30% of the time. They should jump at it and say, hey, I'd rather do 30% instead of wait for the nighttime and all the rest of it when cars can really be parked on there. So parking on one side of the street appears to be no problem whatsoever. Thank you.
Thank you, Art.
Shulman, 8609 Amherst. I'm just here to say thank you to the commissioners, to the mayor, chief. I was here 2 weeks ago. I asked for you to consider the traffic flow on Amherst and take a study, and the very next day, those nice little blinking jobbies, I guess there's a better name than blinking jobbies, but that's what I know, were there. And it was it was interesting because we're right at Nassau, and it was maybe a block or 2 up, and they're rolling, and then whoop, and they really behaved. And I appreciate it. I saw they came back up again this weekend, and it's been, it was very busy today because I was trying to bike to the farmer's market. But it was nice to see it. So I just want to say thank you. You were very responsive. It made me feel very good. And friends of ours who live in various blocks around noted it, and I'm hoping the word is out, you know, that you're looking. So thanks so much. You know, it's often, I was an elected official locally, school board, and where I used to live, and you don't get thanks enough. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Shulman.
Richard Shulman, the other half, from 8609 Amherst Avenue. I just want to add my thanks as well, and when speaking with Commissioner Amadeo, he indicated the volume of cars that were on the north side of Jerome on Amherst Avenue, how astounding it was. needless to say, everyone is aware of the fact that on the other side, the south side, there's probably maybe 40 or 50% more cars because of the cut-through from Jerome. I realize that during the summer, it's more of an issue, and I think that that's the time when there's more safety issues being concerned. Invariably, families biking on the street, cars swerve around them constantly. And with a volume, say, of over 9,000 cars in a 3-day period in that area, people are attempting to bypass the 6 traffic lights that would take them from Amherst Avenue and Jerome to go around to Washington Avenue. There are 6 lights you can avoid with a straight run on Amherst Avenue to the stop sign on Washington. It would appear to me that there would be some way to counter that volume of traffic and also to slow it down when the signs aren't up, when there may be more violations, by considering placing a stop sign somewhere along that route to slow the traffic down. It would discourage the tremendous volume of people avoiding the 6 lights, as well as having the ability to be able to slow the traffic down. The lights are a great deterrent. They really do help. But we still see young families biking on the sidewalks, the streets, cars swerving around them constantly, and particularly down at the other end, once they pass Washington or just before Washington, there's some impassable areas sometimes, especially on the weekend. So what I'd just like to ask the commissioners to discuss or to consider is the possibility of placing a stop sign in the intermediary area somewhere as a safety issue, as opposed to just reducing the volume. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schulman. Anyone else?
If you had a school. You had a school there.
Records show I offered Mr. Berger this prime point in time, and he declined. Sewell, 22 West Drive. You know, it's a rare day when ministers hold up an attorney for ethics and integrity, but this marks the 90th anniversary of the 1925 U.S. Golf Open. And it's famous not for the person who won it, although a great golfer in his own right, but the person who lost it. He happened to call a penalty on himself, which nobody saw. Not his opponent, not the gallery, not the golfing officials. Nobody witnessed this penalty that he called upon himself. And I think it's rather important because from that time in 1925 to the present, standards in the second oldest profession have suffered greatly. Locally, we have the example of Barbara Babs Lieberman and our taxpayer-funded education of Casino Jack Abramoff. But we also have another problem, and I brought it to this commission before, that it's long overdue for Mr. Sless to step down. He has not self-reported his infractions of the bylaws of the Margate Board of Education. He has violated bylaw number 9271, H as in Harry. The first one states, I will refuse to surrender my independent judgment to special interest or partisan political groups. His email of May 1st, that May Day email of 2011, he holds himself out as a school board member, and he proceeds to tell people how to vote or not to vote. Clearly a violation of 9271. Then, said 9271 also says, I will refuse to use the school for personal gain or for the gain of friends. For the gain of friends. And if you recall, our Goomba Paisan, Anthony Vicarelli, specifically brought this problem up in the June 8, 2011 meeting. And when this point was brought up directly to J.B. Sless, he never refuted this conflict of interest. And in fact, he said to Anthony, thank you for your comments. I think it's long overdue for Mr. Sless to step down, especially when he hasn't reported these infractions to the executive director, superintendent for Atlantic County. I opened it, and they have no such records. So I think there was an affirmative duty upon Mr. Sless to self-report. He failed to self-report, and accordingly, he should do the ethical thing and step down. I've repeatedly requested this. In fact, I have said that the mayor has misused and abused his appointment power for the school board. You cannot create conflicts of interest of this nature and let it get a free pass. So I encourage this commission to step up to the plate and to do the right thing at this point in time. I don't think we should have to suffer this. And furthermore,
15 seconds.
I can do this in 15 seconds, Mayor. I once again call upon this commission to support an ordinance that bans any and all nepotism and patronage, bans any and all pay-to-play, including services in kind.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mayor.
Anyone else?
Ed Berger, 9402 Amherst Avenue, and I'm up here representing the Margate Business Association tonight. It's time again for the Business Association, who took on the burden last year of doing the annual Margate calendar, to start reaching out to the public and the individual department heads to ask them for input on the 2016 edition that we're going to be working on. I just wanted to come up and make a public comment on this, because I know that in some cases that some folks had some corrective criticisms that they'd like to make, and we'd like to encourage them to do that by sending your comments to Ed, that's me, at margatehasmore.com, or stopping me when you see me and try and make comments on the calendar over the course of the last year. There will be some additional opportunities over the course of the next week or so to do this, so I would encourage you to do it as quickly as possible. We will be going into production for the 2016 calendar within the next 4 weeks, so we'd like to make any design changes that we have to as quickly as possible. We also want to remind everybody of the Thrilling Thursday programs that's going on currently. We have a movie on the beach tonight at 8:30, thanks to the flexibility of the commissioners and the rest of the folks that allow us to do these things. A couple of the movies that we had to postpone on Thursday nights over the course of the summer because of bad weather have been rescheduled. You can find the dates and times for those. There'll be Friday night movies, 2 weekends in August. You can get the information at margatehasmore.com. Remind everybody also of our farmers market every Thursday morning at Steve and Cookies. And if you want to mark your calendars for September 26th and September 27th, our marquee event, the Margate Fall Fun Fest on the Bay, is again scheduled. The weather on those 2 days will be beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you, Ed. Anyone else?
Hi, I'm Paul Selnick, 114 South Lancaster. My family has been fortunate enough to own a house in a beach block for about 40 years, and it seems like the parking in a beach block issue comes up every couple of years, and I'm here to talk about the ordinance. The ordinance has been around for 60 or 70 years, depending on who you talk to, and it seems like it's working, and it's doing what it's intended to do. It keeps the lanes open, first and foremost for emergency vehicles, and it seems like everybody that uses the beach has a routine, and it's working out. You go to the beach any sunny weekend day, and you're going to see it packed. People drive down the street, they drop off the kids, they drop off their chairs and umbrellas and their coolers, they make a U-turn, and they go back out. I think it's great. People use the street with the bicycles and the baby carriages and all that. There's no backing out. Everybody can make that U-turn. If you change the ordinance that's working, you lose all that. people are going to push the envelope if you give them an inch. For instance, there'll be people cruising for parking spots. There'll be double parking. They'll be blocking driveways. I'm saying let's leave well enough alone. It's an ordinance that's being used by all beachgoers. Of course it's good for the beach block, but it's good for everybody. And it's been around, and it's been around for 60 years, and if it ain't broke, let's not fix it. It also would open up the city to some unnecessary and unpredictable expenses that are not in parking enforcement, for instance, tow trucks, maybe a police presence. God forbid there's an accident, potential litigation for any accidents, that type of thing. Let's avoid a divisive issue. There's too many more important things going on in the world these days. And we're all in this together, the beach block, the beach goers. I think it separates Margate from other communities. No disrespect to Ventnor, but go up there and you see you can't get in there with a shoehorn on a weekend. Let's not make a change for change's sake. Anyway, thanks for your help.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else?
Len Grossman, 112 South Lancaster. You just heard from my neighbor of many years. I've been there only 30 years, so he has a couple of years on me. I also oppose any change in what the beach block parking situation. I think the thing has been working. The ordinance was put in effect for a specific reason. I've watched this board operate, and I know you don't do things lightly, so it was studied, and it was put in for a specific reason. If there's no overwhelming necessity to change that, I don't see why this has to be an issue that has to be addressed every couple of years. So I just like to voice my concern, and you know, if we're going to get into this, find out why those ordinances were put in place 60 years ago. So I'm opposed to any change in the ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you, Len. Any other public comment?
We're going to hear the history of how it started with Adam Farley next.
Yeah, there's so much of that. Talk in the microphone, please, ma'am.
Hello, I'm Joan Berger. Can you hear? Perfect. Down a little bit. Short. Hello, I'm Joan Berger at 110 South Lancaster Avenue, and I'm here to oppose the ordinance also.
There is no ordinance, Mrs. Berger.
Yeah, there will be.
Okay.
I would like to say that I agree with both Mr. Selnick and Mr. Grossman. And since everything has been working okay and there hasn't been any problems, basically, that we shouldn't change anything at this point. I'm not sure why it keeps coming up. And if you have an answer for that, I'd be anxious to hear that. But I just wanted to say thank you, and I just wanted to set my views. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Berger.
Stephen Altman, 9003 Amherst Avenue, Margate. Since the question was raised about the beach block parking, it was not ever a single ordinance. For your information, the first street to get restrictive beach block parking, I believe, was just down here in Margate, where Senator Frank Farley's girlfriend lived. And she complained to Frank that the riffraff were parking on her street, and could he talk to the commission and get them to do some restricted parking. That was the first time. If you go look in the records, you'll see that it was a creeping process where someone else who lived in another beach block said, well, you did it for Frank Farley's girlfriend, so do it for me. It was one street after the other. It was never a conscientious thought to restrict beach block parking. And to answer why it keeps coming up, I've been up here at this microphone.
Steve, I have to interrupt you. When you come up to the podium, you have to address the table, not the audience.
Well, it's in education, isn't it, sir? About the legislative
Address.
Okay, my apology. My understanding is that block by block, people got favors. It's a political favor. And from my point of view, I've been coming to this microphone for 15 years urging a change. And the change should be to benefit the business community by improving parking on Atlantic Avenue, on Ventnor Avenue, by allowing beach block parking to take some of that pressure off of the business community. The other thing is, it seems to me to be an insult of the worst proportion that the women of Margate have some girlfriend initiate, I'm trying to talk into the mic, sir, initiate an ordinance that's an insult to the rest of the female community. Why are they considered riffraff and can't park in the beach block? And that's really the two issues: parking for the business community and the fact that an ordinance of this type never should have been passed in a community like Margate. It's an insult to the political process. It's an insult to the women of the community that this sort of thing happened. Thank you.
Anyone else? Go ahead. Only if you address the chairman.
Thank you. I would like to
State your name again for the...
Len Grossman, 112 South Lancaster. The gentleman here has indicated that this was a political favor. I would like to see the documentation and the support of the ordinance that indicated that this was a political favor. I think, I don't know, I wasn't here then. I don't know how many others were here then to know what happened there. And so it's kind of insulting to hear that every time, for second time. And I think we ought to deal with the facts and the record and not some conjecture.
Thank you. Any other public comment, please? Is there a motion to close public comment?
So moved.
I'll second that. Johanna?
Mayor Becker,
Yes?
Commissioner Amadeo?
Yes.
Commissioner Blumberg?
Thank you. Johanna?
It's your rodeo.
Ordinances and resolutions, please.
Okay, we didn't do public comment on resolution.
Oh, right. We'll have public comment on resolutions. I don't believe there are any ordinances, are there?
No.
No.
Sue, 22 West Drive. Mayor, your undivided attention to resolution number 154-2015. $396,960 and .01234567889. Typographic error there, City Clerk. But getting back to the meat of the matter, Mayor, I think before we spend this 400 grand or so, it would be far better to complete projects that were already on the books. It is my hope that I can kickstart Joe Tozy again to come back up, because rather than have a scattered approach, let's finish the streetscaping in the business district first. Mr. Berger might even agree with that for once. But rather than spend this in other areas when there are projects that remained unfinished and uncompleted, it would be far better to do follow-through, much like you do in golf. So I strongly urge that this money be directed towards unfinished projects that we're committed to and never followed through with. So I think it's rather urgent that we have this money properly allocated to finish projects that were prescribed and never completed. Thank you very much.
Any other comment?
Ed Berger, 9402 Amherst Avenue. I'm the president of the Business Association. I'd like to be able to make a comment on this, and I can't because I'm not informed on where the dollars for the streetscaping is going. I know that the ongoing streetscaping program is something that has been shuffled around for 8 years, the 8 years that I've been coming to the meetings here. But there are certainly areas of the business district that were at one time, and business owners that at one time or another have been promised to have their areas streetscaped and have had problems either with, either had problems with the funding and the completion of those projects or not. So my apologies, my ignorance on the direction of the dollars that are on the books right now, and you're going to pass the resolution 4. But I'd like to encourage the completion of projects that were previously promised to business owners in the business districts over the course of the last 4 to 6 years. Most certainly. Thank you.
Ed, can I interrupt you for a minute? The streetscape program, would you tell us what streets they are? I'm sorry. It's Douglas.
From Douglas to Exeter.
Good.
On Bayside.
They're all
From Douglas to Essex on the ocean side.
good.
Ed, could you speak into a microphone, please?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Oh, both Eds. Yeah, 2 Eds.
Ed, you'll be happy with this.
Yeah.
Okay. Douglas to Exeter on the Bayside, Douglas to Essex on the ocean side. Then I believe it is Adams to, I think it's Adams to Jefferson on the Bayside, and Decatur to Benson on the Bayside.
All in Ventnor.
Excuse me?
All on Ventnor.
All on Ventnor Avenue.
All on Ventnor. It's all the Ventnor
And
Avenue.
that basically is part of the completion of some of the earlier projects that
That
were...
is correct.
We pick up where we stopped.
Right.
And continue it down.
It's basically in the business areas of the town.
Right. And as I said, my apologies for not knowing that in advance. So, we've always been there to try and encourage the continuation and completion of this project, so thank you.
Okay. Any other public comment? Motion to close public comment.
So moved.
Second.
Mayor Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Amadeo?
Yes.
Commissioner Blumberg?
Okay. Johanna?
Okay, we have the correction to Resolution 147-2015 with the addition of the approval of funds for Atlantic City Electric for a cost of relocating the overhead distribution. The total of that is now $3,143,000.
No.
Because the total did not also have the payroll account. So there is an adjustment to this. The resolution does have the breakdown, but the bill list change will increase the amount of $17,736.44 on that resolution. So the total is different.
Okay.
Do I have a motion?
It's not 3 million.
Well, when you add,
Because the payroll's 581,
it's 2 payrolls.
so that's $1 million. I guess you're right.
Okay. Read the total.
Okay, the total now is $3,143,320.42.
Okay. I'll make that motion.
Second.
Mayor Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Amadeo?
Yes.
Number 148.
Has to be pulled.
Oh. Pardon me?
Have to pull that.
What has to be pulled?
148.
He can't vote.
I
Okay.
can't vote on that. Okay.
148 is now pulled since we don't have two-thirds vote. 149, 215, grace period extension for payment of third quarter taxes.
So moved.
Second.
Mayor Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Amadeus?
Yes.
Number 150, 215, authorizing the purchase of a Hearst Jaws of Life.
So moved.
Second.
Mayor Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Amadeus?
Yes.
Number 151, 2015, authorizing tax lien redemption for certificate number 11-1.
Make that motion.
Second.
Mayor Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Amadeus?
Yes.
Number 152-2015, authorizing tax lien redemption for certificate number 14-8.
So moved.
Second.
Mayor Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Amadeus?
Yes.
Number 153-2015, authorizing tax lien redemption for certificate number 14-15.
So moved.
Second.
Mayor Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Amadeus?
Yes.
Number 154-2015, award of NJEDA Neighborhood Streetscape Revitalization Program to Lexa Concrete.
Make that motion.
Second.
Mayor Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Amadeus?
Yes.
Number 155-2015, annual renewal of 2015-16 ABC municipal liquor license to Lamberti's Margate LLC.
So moved.
Second.
Mayor Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Amadeus?
Yes.
Thank you, Joanna. Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Mayor Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Amadeus?
Yes.
Thank you all for being here.